We bow our hearts, we bend our knees. Oh Spirit, come make us humble. We turn our eyes from evil things. Oh Lord, we cast down our idols. Give us clean hands, give us pure hearts. Let us not lift our souls to another. Give us clean hands, give us pure hearts. Let us not lift our souls to another. God, let us be a generation that seeks your face, oh God of Jacob. Oh God, let us be a generation that seeks your face, oh God of Jacob. And oh God, let us be a generation that seeks your face, oh God of Jacob. And oh God, let us be a generation that seeks your face, oh God of Jacob. We bow our hearts, we bend our knees. Oh Spirit, come make us humble. see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. 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 Tis so sweet to trust in Jesus, just to take Him at His word, just to rest upon His promise, just to know, thus saith the Lord. Jesus, Jesus, how I trust Him, how death became the death of shame. I'll praise you for amazing grace. Up from the grave, up from the grave, into the dark you called my name and brought me back to life again. I rose with you up from the grave. Oh, praise, oh, praise. See, the old life has gone and the new has begun. Your name always. Jesus, you alone deserve all praise. Up from the grave, up from the grave, into the dark you called my name and brought me back to life again. I rose with you up from the grave. Oh, praise, oh, praise. See, the old life has gone and the new has begun. Your name always. Jesus, you alone deserve all praise. You're coming soon, you're coming soon. Your promises, they all come true. God, we will fix our eyes on you, and we believe you're coming soon. Yes, we will fix our eyes on you. Your promises, they all come true. Oh, praise, oh, praise. See, the old life is gone and the new has begun. Your name always. Jesus, you alone deserve all praise. All praise, all praise. See, the old life is gone and the new has begun. Your name always. Jesus, you alone deserve all praise. Sing praise to Him. Sing praise to Him. Sing all your praise to Him. Sing praise to Him. Sing all your praise to Him. Sing praise to Him. Sing all your praise to Him. Sing praise to Him. Sing all your praise to Him. All praise, all praise.
Good morning. I trust all of you guys are well today. So a couple months ago, it might even have been a year, there was like an announcement at church that they were going to be taking people from the congregation and having them up front. And when I heard that, I was like, whew, I'm probably safe, won't be me. But I was out to breakfast with Matt Berge, as we do every now and then, and we were walking in, and we go to sit down, and we see Elvin sitting there, and I was like, we can join him. Let's catch up with Elvin. This is great. So we go sit down with him, and we get to chit-chatting, just what's been new and what's been happening, and he gives me some, I think it was like 2 compliments. He was like 2 compliments on something, and I was like, yeah, cool, great, and he goes, I got a question for you. He was like, would you like to take a Sunday to come up here and preach? And I was like, well, no, but, but I believe that in a church family, we come here not only to get and receive from each other, but also to give. So this will be a little bit of me giving back from what I've received from you guys. Before I start, today's message is, the title is Being a Christian When It's Not Cool to Be a Christian. And this is for you, Al. I was told to call your name out, so no, not really. But I have a video I'd like to roll quick here before we get started, and then we're going to get into a little bit more of some of the notes that I have. So, Josh, if you want to roll that. Everybody, when first time I saw that, I was like, there's no way, you wouldn't catch me being that lady up there just standing up for no apparent reason, not knowing what's going on. But, who here thinks that they wouldn't be the lady in the video? Thank you, Al. And then, yeah, COVID, right? But, we all have exhibited that behavior before, in life. It starts at a very young age. And actually, if you want to, Josh, if you want to pull that picture up, gotta give you. So this was me at, Mom, how old do you think I was? 10, 14, 12, whatever the age was. And, at this age, I have my buck teeth and, my cool early 2000s clothes or whatever, and I'm off to school pictures. But that young man going to school, as cool as I might look in the picture, was peer pressured by everybody else. You want to fit in, there's cliques. You want to be a part of the cool crowd. You want to fit in. You don't want to be an outsider, a weirdo. You don't want to look dumb. So you do, conform with the way people are around you. And one of the biggest lessons as a child that I got from my parents was, you don't have to fit in, do your own thing, and people will come, just, if you're an outsider, you don't need them anyway. So that was the big thing for me when I was young and going through some of those things of feeling out of place, not fitting in at school. And I mean, luckily I did have friends, that I did get there. But no one wants to stand out, or be different in the crowd. Even, Al, that you talked about COVID, and I don't care where you land on mask or don't mask. We're not here to talk about that this morning. Keep dropping that. But, you know that feeling when you go into the store and you're the only person without a mask, and you look around and you're like, oh, everybody's got a mask on, Oh, I don't have mine, or lost it, whatever you have. Or on the flip side of that coin, you go into a store where nobody's masked up and you're the only person with a mask. About 3 aisles back, you just want to quick take it off and just act like that never happened, just blend in. But, and that travels, as a child, you can feel out of place and whatnot, but that also travels into adulthood, in business, you can be an outsider. I know I sell cars on the side, buy and sell, and guys will be like, hey, can you lower the price? Say I only paid $500 for it, so I don't have to pay as much as taxes. And then I have to be like, I'm honest in all of my business dealings, and I don't lie, And immediately, I've seen the look on someone before, their face is like, well, I'm honest too, and they don't like to feel that pressure. But immediately, you feel like, what's wrong with me? Why don't I just roll with it, and what's wrong with it, just to get rid of that slight feeling of being an outsider. Also, a big one is around your friends, Friends or family, whether they be Christian or not. I know I was with a group of coworkers, and we were just kind of hanging out, and they were like, do you want to smoke? And at this point, I knew who they were, and I just started, so they didn't quite know me or whatever, and I was like, I knew what they meant by smoke. It wasn't cigarettes, it was weed, pot, ganja, my personal favorite, the devil's lettuce. And I was like, oh, no, I don't do that. I don't do that. No, I'm good, thank you. So they went off, I was just hanging by myself for a little bit. I thought about it, I was like, I'm a weirdo, it's just weed, just go along. It's so easy to go along, and just blend in. A few years ago, my biological grandmother passed away. She had stage 4 cancer. And I was in the hospital, and I went to see her one last time and to pray with her, just comfort her while she was there. And she wasn't responsive. And I had brought my Bible to pray with her, and we were just chatting a little bit, and someone had come in from the other room nearby where they had someone sick, and I guess they gave me this term, man of God, and they were like, hey, because my sisters were there, I was like, hey, we saw you praying with your grandma. I was like, could you come in and pray for our person that is sick? And I was like, who are you? What are you doing? What? I just came here for this, and then I'm going to leave, But just even that simple act of praying with her stuck out to these other group of people who I've never met before in my life. I was challenged with that, and being younger, and not like I wasn't evangelizing in that time or nothing, so I didn't have much experience with that. But just that, oh, hey, come pray with these people. Say a prayer in front of some random people that you never met before, really put me in the driver's seat, and I was like, okay, I guess this is what we're doing. So I went over and prayed with him, and it was a little weird, but I did it, and they felt better, and I felt better after I was done, and I'm not sure what happened to that person, but just being that little bit of light definitely, it made a difference. I would think so for them it did. So I have a couple verses here I'm going to read, and you can mark them down or turn to them, whatever you prefer. I didn't give them to the guys in the back for the PowerPoint, just because I have them written down here, and I'm going to go through them. The next point is, how should Christians act or look? Paul tells us in Philippians 1:27, only let your manner of life be worthy of the gospel of Christ, so that whether I come and see you or am absent, I may hear of you that you are standing firm on one spirit, with one mind, striving side by side for the faith of the gospel. Romans 12, 1-2 says, I appeal to you, therefore, brothers and sisters, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, and what is good and acceptable and perfect. And just to elaborate on them verses some more, not being, conformed to the world, especially, being a Christian, it is easy to blend in with family members or friends, and just so you don't have to experience that feeling of being different. More to the point, Ephesians 5, 3-5 says, but sexual immorality and all impurity or covetousness must not even be named among you, and it is proper among the saints. Let there be no filthiness, nor foolish talk, nor crude joking, which are out of place, but instead let there be thanksgiving. For you may be sure of this, that everyone who is sexually immoral or impure, who is covetous, that is, an idolater, has no inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and God. When I've read this verse multiple times, but the thing that sticks out to me specifically about this section is the way we use our mouths, the words we speak, what we say, and I'm guilty of it as anyone. When someone says something off color or a joke or something, or to laugh, but this here talks about our words, no foolish talk nor crude joking. And, all of us are familiar with a lot of the other ones, sexual immorality, we go over that multiple times in church and stuff, but even just by our words, that is one of the key ways of how we communicate and how we fit in. So if there's a group of people there, that aren't Christians, and I've seen it before, I've been with friends or people who we'll be together, and then they'll be a certain way, talking about God and how God great is and God loves you, yada, yada, whatever. And then, we'll go around some unchristian friends or, people, who weren't growing up to be Christians, and immediately their aura changes, to fit in. They start using some four-letter words or, and it's like, really? Interesting, So that's how you are, But I got to be careful that I'm not that way in my daily life as well. That I don't conform to how the way people are speaking or what they're doing or anything like that, because it is a very easy road to go down. The next point is how to witness to the world while maintaining your Christian integrity. And this kind of goes back and touches a little bit on what I just spoke about. But I think a key step in that is knowing what you believe in. I'll tell another short story. I had my niece, Sanaya, who was here with me. She's been to church. I think she was here one time. And her mother and some of her family, they would be Jewish, Hebrew. So they don't eat pork, red meat, shellfish, any sort of thing like that. And she was telling me she would be, now her mother and her would identify as Muslim, following Islam. And so she's a smart girl. She's 16, but I would say she's a lot smarter than the average 16-year-old. And so she was at my house, and, she brought her hijab. Am I saying that right? Hijab, thank you. Hijab, the covering, And she would wear it sometimes, and then we got to talking about it. It's like, so what do you, and I was curious because I wanted to know like how deep it ran. I was like, so what do you believe in, Tell me about Islam. I want to hear about it, And she did good. She did real good, and like it all made sense. Jesus was a prophet, yada, yada, go down through what the Islam believes. And I was like, huh. She obviously skipped a few sections of the Quran, where, extremists, yada, yada. But it was very impressive to hear her say that. And if I wouldn't have been a Christian or know where I stand in my faith, I could have been easily persuaded. It's like, that sounds really good. Peace, love, someone loves you, you get to heaven. It sounded good. And then I told her about what I believed, and she knew what I believed. But, I started off, and I was kind of just taken aback by what I just heard and how detailed it was. But I was like, started down my path. I was like, man, where do I even start? Do we start at the cross? Oh, Jesus died for your sins, and you need to accept him. But why? Why did Jesus die? So I had to start back in Genesis. That's where it worked the best, and went up through all the big things. And it's like, oh, it wasn't just a big bang. Jesus, in the garden, and up through the Bibles, and then now we're at the crucifixion, and that is why we believe. That's the whole shebang. No, but it tested me right there, to witness. And maybe some of you guys are better than I am about witnessing. There's not too many times where I'm just out here. I definitely spread some tracts and stuff, but actually going door to door, hey, do you want to know about Jesus? That's not me. So this whole new thing of talking to someone and explaining it from the beginning like they had no idea was new, because when you're around a bunch of other believers, you do become, I don't want to say complacent, maybe that's not the right word, used to it. You already know the story. I don't need to tell you, So that did challenge me on that. Let me go grab water quick. Another time I was challenged was, I'm a big snowboarder. I love snowboarding. And I was going riding with some friends, and we took this guy's van, a Gladiator van. The kid's 17 years old, and he just piled everything into it and totally decked it out for a snowboarding van. So there was 6 of us, I want to say, going on this trip, and I'm the only Christian or believer. I don't think any of them believed in anything. They would have known, everyone knows about Christianity, but they wouldn't have really followed it. And so we're going to the mountain, and we're riding. We rode all day. We're beat, just exhausted. It's maybe 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. We're headed back, and I'm sitting the 3rd row back. And my 2 friends who were up in front, they were driving, and they were just kind of chit-chatting, trying to keep them awake, just cruising. And I had fallen asleep, and I kind of just woke up, because I think they just started talking about religion, and I was still in this foggy haze, and I was like, are they really talking about religion? I was like, what? What? So they start talking, and they're like, yeah, that whole thing of Christianity, that God, there's a God that created the whole universe, and and then Adam and Eve, and then the flood, and I was like, man, that just sounds crazy, and they were just poking all these holes in Christianity, and was like, man, that's just, and they would have been believing in evolution and everything, and they were just like, man, it just does not make sense, and it just sounds weird, it's just dumb, whatever. And at that point, I was like, this is a prime time right now to say something. But it's like, what do you say? And I am ashamed of the fact that, I just listened to it for a little while, and then it didn't come up. They started talking about something else, and that really got my mind churning, though. What you do, what we've been taught, I grew up from a Christian home from baby on up. We've heard the Bible stories. We've seen the baby pictures of Noah and the ark and the sea and the floods and, all these miracles. But I had to stop and think about it there and be like, you know what? That does sound a little bit crazy. It does sound a little weird. A God that's been around for eternity. Yeah, right. Forever. Looking at the miracles that Jesus performed, water into wine. I'm sure people would love that nowadays at parties. You look at parting of the Red Sea, just thinking about, just go to a river sometime and imagine that just a river would be separated. You tell that to somebody who hasn't been in here, and it does immediately think, yeah, right, really? A talking snake, animals talk, only in the animated ones, it doesn't make sense. And even the flood, there's evidence of the flood today, but you believe that God talked to one man and that he was in charge of rounding up all the animals and put them in a boat when they didn't have skill saws or, you couldn't go to Lowe's and get the lumber? It just doesn't sound real. But fortunately, growing up, I had parents that if we had questions, we could come to them and be like, hey, what's this? Why do you do it? Where does it say that in the Bible? It doesn't make sense. According even just things of like dressing, attire, or what about XYZ in the Bible? Like, is it really important? Or what is the consequences of not being a Christian or not following in these paths? And they were able, if they didn't know, they'd look, but they were able to give us answers instead of just being like, dress this way, do these things, shut up, and don't ask any more questions. This is just what we're doing. But it was much more of a relationship there that, it could be like, this is why I don't do drugs, which should be a no-brainer for those who've seen meth heads. But anyway, this is why I don't do this, because it leads down this road and this is what you'll get. Now, like I said, I do have, with some of the jobs I previously worked, I do have a fair amount of friends who aren't Christians, and they don't care. They want to do their own thing. So it's like, how do you witness to them? Or you got to be careful that you do not become like them. And that's why I think it's also important to be, you got to put some distance between yourself and that. You got to not get too close, and I want to say in a sense, so that they do not drag you down in turn instead of you bringing them to Christ. Revelations 3:15-16 says, I know your deeds, that you are neither cold nor hot. I wish you were either one or the other. So because you are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I'm about to spit you out of my mouth. And that verse has always kind of been like a shocker, Because I've also, I've done things in the past to blend in with my friends and everything. And that was kind of that verse always kind of keeps me in check a little bit, because it's like lukewarm, We've heard of lukewarm Christians before, but what does that look like in daily life? What does that look like in my life? And how can I prevent that? So I think there is a separation there, that is important, so that you stand firm in what you believe as well. Now, the next point I have is, what does the Bible tell us about being a follower of Christ? It's not always fun or cool. And this is easily to see, even just looking at the old church and what kind of persecution that they've gone through, or even looking around the world. We're lucky that everyone here can be sitting here and not having to worry about the police coming in. They might get us for COVID rules, but other than that, they let you worship how you want normally. Yeah. Jesus says in John 15, 17 through 19, "This is my command, love each other. If the world hates you, keep it in mind that it hated me first. If you belong to the world, it would love you as its own. As it is, you do not belong to the world, but I have chosen you out of the world. That is why the world hates you." Paul tells us in Timothy, 2 Timothy 3:12, "In fact, everyone who wants to live a godly life in Christ Jesus will be persecuted." Before I read the next one, that is kind of going back to what I said. Fortunately for us in the past 100-some years, 200, there hasn't been religious persecution that we have endured here. Most of you probably have never been, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, most of you have probably never been persecuted or tortured for your faith. Now, you might get made fun of, might get poked fun of for believing that Jonah was swallowed by a whale. They might poke some holes in that. But other than that, you won't be probably physically tortured for just believing in what you believe. But it does say, that you will be persecuted. At some time, even in the slightest, you might be made fun of. You might be ridiculed and ostracized or excluded just for believing what you believe. The next verse is from 2 Peter 4:12-19, and I wasn't going to include all of it, but I liked the rest of it, so I did. "Beloved, do not be surprised at the fiery trial when it comes upon you to test you, as though something strange were happening to you. But rejoice insofar as you share Christ's sufferings, that you may also rejoice and be glad when his glory is revealed. If you are insulted for the name of Christ, you are blessed, because the Spirit of glory and of God rests upon you. But let none of you suffer as a murderer or a thief or an evildoer or as a meddler. Yet if anyone suffers as a Christian, let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify God in that name. For it is time for judgment to begin at the household of God. And if it begins with us, what will be the outcome for those who do not obey the gospel of God? And if the righteous are scarcely saved, what will be of the ungodly and the sinner? Therefore, let those who suffer according to God's will entrust their soul to a faithful Creator while doing good." Luke 6:22 says, "Blessed are you when the people hate you, when they exclude you and insult you, and reject your name as evil because of the Son of Man." Now, normally, when you go to church, those aren't the verses that they put on their signs out front to bring people in. You'll be hated, excluded, persecuted, in other countries tortured. You're not going to have a good time. It'll be rough for you. You're going to be made fun at. You're going to be a weirdo, But, a lot of times it is on love and all about the love, but I think it is important that we don't forget also what the Christian life can bring for you. Probably not everyone here is going to be tortured. Probably most of us actually won't be tortured or afflicted, but since we live in America. But I think it is important to remember those who aren't so easily let off the hook with that as well. And the costs that we pay of just being different, looking different, sounding different, and believing different, and not doing X things is a small price to pay in the contrast to what some other people are paying currently, right now. If I tell my friend, hey buddy, you want to be a Christian, right? Okay. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. You're probably going to get made fun of. You won't be doing a lot of the fun things that you think you're doing now. You have to go to church every Sunday, whatever, yada, yada, this. He'd probably be like, no. Be like, no, I don't want any part of that life, So if the Christian life is so hard, why bother? Why even go on this road? And I'm trusting that since all of you are sitting here today, that you have figured that question out already and know the answer to it. But in John 5:24, it says, "Truly, truly, I say to you, whoever hears my word and believes him who sent me has eternal life. He does not come into judgment, but has passed from death to life." Revelations 21:4, "He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and death shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain any more, for the former things have been passed away." 2 Corinthians 2:9, "But it is written, what no man has seen, nor ear heard, nor the heart of man imagined, what God has prepared for those who love him." In this setting here, the next verse is Jesus to the thief. In Luke 23:43, "And he said to him, truly I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise." Now, that verse is fairly short, but I think that one was probably one of the most impressionable verses in this stack of papers right here, because it puts it, when I think paradise, I'm thinking Tahiti, I'm thinking Bali, some nice white sand beaches, clear water, the little umbrella thingies that they have everywhere. That's what my mind is, but clearly here it says in the previous verses that no man has seen nor heart of man imagined. So I don't know if that's going to be up there. I'm hoping. And if you can hear me, God, But, no, that is why we do it. Not simply to be spared from eternal damnation and troubles, but also to spend an eternity with God in his glory, in paradise, in heaven. So when I'm thinking of, what it means, the persecution or everything, that is what can get you through times like that. Or even if you're just feeling different because you just don't look the same as everybody else. New churches today, and I read some articles on this, they want to bring people in, by being all loving and caring and, this will be great, during our brunch, whatever, and they have, I'm not picking on anybody here, but they have, huge, worship sets and everything. I was in a church one time, and it was a fairly big church, and we walk in, and the usher leads us in. We were like a little bit late. They were already worshiping and everything. And the usher leads us in with a flashlight, because it was that dark, and like the strobe lights, and they had the fog machines and everything. I mean, it was pumping. Like, it was bouncing. Like, if you would have been outside, it would have sounded like a club inside. It was like a rock concert essentially going on. And I'm not picking on any churches who do these things, whatever, however you want to worship, do your thing. But, they put so much effort in reaching out to the young people, trying to drag them in, because we are colorful. We have, coffee and donuts. You can buy our T-shirts. It's a branding is what it is. It's a lot of branding. And it's cool, and it's exciting, and it's fun. You know, it looks good. What church you go to? Yeah, that big one over there, the massive one with 10,000 people. Whatever, you know, that's just, but I think there's something that gets lost in there. You know, it's okay to be different. You know, instead of trying to blend so well and really, you know, trying to bring these people in, it's okay to be different, you know, and I think that we can apply it to all of our personal lives as well when we come to these situations that we are immediately, you know, recognized as different, you know, or not cool. I think that's okay, you know, to be separate. Because, I mean, if you look at Jesus and what his teachings were and how he lived his life, a lot of them guys and his apostles, they were different. So in closing, the Christian life is tough. It's rough. You'll have bad days. I have bad days, bad weeks. I am different, look different, don't do everything all my friends want to, you know, even though it is fun or cool. But I've come to terms with that, you know, and I've kind of just made it in my life that it is okay for me if I am a weirdo, you know. I can stand out and be apart from everyone. Because I'm 27. I don't need to be cool anymore. I just don't need that anymore. I mean, young people, old people, whatever you want, you can be cool or whatever. I just stopped them trying to impress people anymore because it's always a losing battle. You'll always never fit in with somebody. One more thing I want to say, because actually this hit me pretty good when it happened. I was visiting with some friends, and a couple had come in that I have known for a very long time and have been close with them. And I was like, how are you doing? You know, how are things with you? Because, you know, we were just chatting around, catching up. And she looks at me and says, not good. Like, it's not been good, you know. And she said it with, like, a smile on her face, but, you know, she was hurting, you know. And they told me about some trials and difficulties that they had in their life. And I thought about that for a little while, and I was like, man, I applaud them for being honest. You know, even though, you know, it could make you tell someone on Sunday morning or you meet them in the street, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing great. I'm doing fine. Yep, I'm busy. You know, I'm going good. You know, and because we don't want to seem like we have problems or issues or, you know, we don't want to be a bump in a smooth road. You know, we just want to blend in. And I applauded them for that because they were willing to, you know, to be honest and let me know exactly what they were thinking and how they were feeling, even if, you know, it could have been damaging to their image, whatever you say.
Last song we're going to sing is Christ Be Magnified, and I think goes well with the challenge that he left with us. So think about the words, take them to heart, think about them throughout the week. If you want to stand and join us, please.
Christ be magnified, let his praise arise. Christ be magnified in me. Oh, Christ be magnified from the altar of my life. Christ be magnified in me. Oh, Christ be magnified, let his praise arise. Christ be magnified in me. And oh, Christ be magnified from the altar of my life. Christ be magnified in me. Singing, oh, Christ be magnified, let his praise arise. Christ be magnified in me. Oh, Christ be magnified from the altar of my life. Christ be magnified in me. finally articulate, with 1,000 tongues to lift one cry, and from north to south and east to west, we'd hear Christ be magnified. Were the whole earth echoing his eminence, his name would burst from sea and sky, from rivers to the mountain tops, we'd hear Christ be magnified. And oh, Christ be magnified, let his praise arise, Christ be magnified in me. Oh, Christ be magnified from the altar of my life, Christ be magnified in me. When every creature finds its inmost melody, and every human heart its native cry, oh, then in one enraptured hymn of praise we'll sing, Christ be magnified. Oh, Christ be magnified, let his praise arise, Christ be magnified in me. Oh, Christ be magnified from the altar of my life, Christ be magnified in me. Oh, Christ be magnified, let his praise arise, Christ be magnified in me. Oh, Christ be magnified from the altar of my life, Christ be magnified in me. I won't bow to idols, I'll stand strong and worship you. If it puts me in the fire, I'll rejoice 'cause you're there too. I won't be formed by feelings, I'll hold fast to what is true. If the cross brings transformation, I'll be crucified with you. 'Cause death is just the doorway to resurrection life. If I join you in your sufferings, I'll join you when you rise. When you return in glory with all the angels and the saints, my heart will still be singing, and my song will be the same. No, I won't bow to idols, I'll stand strong and worship you. If it puts me in the fire, I'll rejoice 'cause you're there too. I won't be formed by feelings, hold fast to what is true. If the cross brings transformation, I'll be crucified with you. 'Cause death is just the doorway to resurrection life. If I join you in your suffering, I'll join you when you rise. When you return in glory with all the angels and the saints, my heart will still be singing, my song will be the same. Oh, Christ be magnified, let his praise arise, Christ be magnified in me. And oh, Christ be magnified from the altar of my life, Christ be magnified in me. Oh, Christ be magnified, let his praise arise, Christ be magnified in me. Oh, Christ be magnified from the altar of my life, Christ be magnified in me. Father, I just pray that
this week as we go throughout our week. That our lives would magnify you, that you would shine brightly, and that we would burn for you. One more time on Christ be magnified.
And oh, Christ be magnified, let his praise arise. Christ be magnified in me. Oh, Christ be magnified from the altar of my life. Christ be magnified.